tend to get rid of everything. I've had a lot of vintage cars, and each one on the day that I bought it, I drove away thinking to myself, I'm going to have this car forever until I'm an old man, and I'm never going to get rid of it. And the fact of the matter is there was always another vintage car to get excited about. And it's much the same way with guitars. As much as I idolize people like Bruce Springsteen, who are associated with this one guitar they've played throughout their whole career, and it's this iconic thing, I always found myself falling in love with different guitars. And you're bound to find something, when you walk into a vintage guitar shop. This Fender Telecaster was the guitar that I played at the very first Midland show. And it was my #1 guitar for about the first 2 or 3 years in Midland. It's a very, very special guitar. When I got this, it was the exact guitar that I had been dreaming about. I always had a thing for the double bound Sunburst Telecasters, this kind of 60s neck profile. I just thought they were the coolest, and in country music there's kind of a long history of this guitar and people who have played them. This one is actually quite original. It comes with the original pickups, although these are different pickups. It has the ashtray cover, it's got the original case. It made it onto records, a lot of recordings. It's the guitar that I started the band with, and it plays and it sounds really, really great. And I hope it goes to a great home. This one here is a 1964 J200, the king of all flat tops, the sort of Cadillac, the guitar that has been played by many of my idols, from Bob Dylan to John Prine to Bruce Springsteen. This is kind of the legendary biggest and boldest acoustic. They're so cool. This era, especially with the neck shape, before they went to the much smaller neck, this year is what I consider to be the best neck shape of these guitars. People like Keith Richards played 64. It's just kind of the perfect feeling neck. This one also is very original. I installed a pickup in it so that I could play it live, but it comes with the original bridge. It has an LR bag system in it right now, and the bridge was replaced to put that in, but it comes with the original one. It's got the original case. It's the Iced Tea Burst, which for me was the color that I'd seen the least when I would go out and play J200s in stores. I seemed to see the Tobacco Burst and the blonde ones a little more. So when I saw this one, I thought it was really, really cool. This one has that J200 big sound in the open chord. Very even sounding, very warm and rich.
Hey, how you doing? This is Mark Weistrach, and I am holding the original guitar, the Ron Emery Fender model that really helped start Midland. Jess brought this guitar up to Jackson Hole for Cameron Deddy's wedding, which we were both asked to be groomsmen. And this guitar was just a conversation starter. A guitar we were passing around on the porch of Cameron's soon-to-be and now mother-in-law at her beautiful cabin that overlooks the backside of the Tetons. And it was a majestic location and a pretty magical place to be. And there's no surprise that Midland, the genesis, was a result of that atmosphere and the celebration that was Cameron and Harper's wedding. And then you had a little bit of alcohol, some nostalgia, and 3 buddies who are musicians, and it was the perfect setting and the perfect chemical reaction to start Midland. So this is the guitar that started it all. I'm pretty excited for somebody to own this exciting piece of country music history. I think it is.
So when our touring schedule came to an abrupt halt a few months ago, a few of our guitars ended up in Nashville, where they have stayed with our buses. One of the guitars that's over there is a 1960s Gibson Firebird 12-string electric guitar. It's a very rare bird. It's, if you want that kind of birds, electric 12-string, you know, Tom Petty kind of a thing, it does that as good as anything. It's a really, really cool, interesting, weird guitar to see a Firebird in a 12-string version. Even the kind of like 335s and stuff like that, you see the 12-string version more. This is the only one I've ever seen in person. It's a refinish. I believe it started life as a Sunburst, and it's now in the kind of I think it's called a Fire Mist. It's kind of a silverish gold. That's another really, really cool guitar. Unique. You're not going to ever see another one like it. It saw a lot of stage use on the Rocks album cycle touring. I would play the Intro to Electric Rodeo on that guitar. It's a really, really cool one, and hope it goes to a great home. The guitar that I've been playing over the last year or so, a little bit longer, that's a 1961 Gibson ES335, and I played dozens of 335s before settling on that one. It's a really, really special one. I wanted that kind of Clapton thing, but I wanted something that I could take on the road. And so it has the, you know, once again, the kind of the good neck profile, the early 60s before it goes to the really slim neck. It's got a lot of changed hardware and pickups. You know, it's not like, you know, a wall hanger or hopefully something that's going to sit in a collection. You know, it's kind of a guitar that's meant to be played. It's set up to be played. It sounds and plays incredible. I played it at some of the biggest shows we ever played. The Houston Rodeo was one of the last shows actually that we got to play, and we were one of the last bands to perform at the Houston Rodeo before they shut it down about halfway through. But that's an incredible guitar. Another one is a 1963 Fender Stratocaster Sunburst. I fell in love with our producer Dan Huff's 1963 Sunburst Stratocaster. That set me to start looking for a 63. I landed on this one. It's a great guitar. It's actually basically original, except that the body has been refinished by Mark Jenny. It's a very, very accurate refinish. The neck has not been refinished, and that's a very important aspect to me, is to have the original finish on the neck. I always want that kind of pool cue feel on the back of the neck. That's really, to me, maybe the biggest reason why I look for a vintage guitar, is that kind of broken in feel on the neck, and this one has that. The neck feels incredible on it. It comes with the original case. It's got the original pickups and wiring. I think one pot's been changed, but other than that, like the tuners and all that stuff's original. It's a really, really great guitar. I played it quite a bit over the last 3 years. Here is a 1963 Gibson SG. Road Dog. What is a Road Dog, you might ask? It is a guitar that is really made for the road. This one has a lot of unoriginal stuff about it, but it plays and sounds incredible. I wasn't even looking for an SG at the time that I bought this guitar. I don't play a lot of SGs, but I played this one in a store, and it sounded and felt so incredible that I just ended up buying it. It started life as a special. The The pickups were replaced with humbuckers. This vibrato piece is not actually even hooked up. It's got a repaired heel crack that's very solid. It does have the great early 60s Gibson neck profile and shape, slightly wider nut, before they went to the really slim neck in the later 60s. It's just a really hard to beat playing and sounding SG. The song 21st Century Honky Tonk American Band was actually this guitar played through this amp. I try not to be a bottleneck of vintage guitars, you know. I play them, I get use out of them. A lot of these guitars were my number one guitars at different times, and I hope they will go on to be other people's number one vintage guitars.